Good morning, everyone, and welcome to our special coverage of the China's two sessions. I'm Li Dongning in Beijing.
And I'm Zhong Shi, working alongside Dongning today. Thanks so much for joining us. The Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference is wrapping up its annual session at the Great Hall of the People here in Beijing. And Chairman of the CPPCC National Committee, Wang Huning, will deliver a speech later this morning.
Right, and during this year's session, over 2,000 national political advisors of the CPPCC have discussed topics related to China's development. So before today's meeting begins, the members' corridor will open again, where another group of political advisors will take questions from the media on key issues.
Stay with us here on CGTN. We'll bring you live coverage of the media briefing across our channels and on social media platforms. Now, our reporter Chen Yiling is live at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. Good morning to you, Yiling. We've had a number of these members' corridors throughout the sessions. What can we expect from the CPPCC members' corridor today?
Good morning, Zhong Shi and Dongning. Well, in less than 15 minutes, the third and the last CPPCC members corridor will take place right behind me. Now, we know today is pretty early morning, but you can already see the medias have already in position. As today, we are expecting around 8 CPPCC members. They will come to the corridor and share their stories with us. Now, if we look back at the previous 2 members' corridors, now there are a total of 18 CPPCC members that have taken part. I've attended both and also did some of my calculation on the most frequently mentioned topics. On top of the list is science and technology. It's mentioned nearly 80 times. And the word innovation comes closely with nearly 60 times. That actually comes with no surprise because these two seems very well aligned with showcase the priorities of China's development, especially now the country is striving for the 15th five-year plan. And when we talk about tech and innovation, I think there's also a key hub that we cannot ignore, and that is the Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau, Greater Bay Area. And that is especially what we can anticipate at today's, the third CPPCC members corridor, because during previous years, we've also noted there are members from the Hong Kong Special Administrative Region and Macau Special Administrative Region. They've taken part in this. And this is especially important or relevant this year because Hong Kong is preparing for its first five-year plan. So many people are wondering how it will align with the national development blueprint and how it further strengthen or consistent the connectivity across the Greater Bay Area. And let's not forget we've witnessed the National Games of China last year. It's successfully co-hosted by Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau, the Greater Bay Area for the very first time. And last but not least, there's also another key issue that drawing attention, and that is the integrated development across the Taiwan Straits, because we are noticing an increasing number of Taiwan compatriots who not only come visit the mainland, but also work and stay here in the mainland. So overall, now as we are waiting for the third and final CPPCC members corridor right here, we will follow closely on what they're going to share today. Back to you.
Yiling, appreciate that preview from you. Thank you so much.
All right, now we go to Dai Kai-yi, who is standing by at the Great Hall of People. Kai-yi, morning. So this year's CPPCC session is about to conclude. What have been the highlights and priorities this session?
Good morning, Dongning and Zhong Shi. It's true that this is one of the most important political seasons for China every year. During the past week or so, we saw a series of key events of the CPPCC taking place. For example, last Friday, Chinese President Xi Jinping visited political advisors. Joining a group meeting, he joined the discussions of political advisors from the Jiusan Society, the sector of medicine and social security. He stressed the need of a decisive progress in advancing Healthy China initiative during the 15th five-year plan period. Now, since the opening on March 4th, the CPPCC members has had an intensive schedule deliberating in various groups. Their aim, of course, is to come up with better ideas on some of the key national issues spanning economy, technology, as well as how people live a better life. They also shared their views and suggestions at the second plenary meeting as well as the third plenary meeting. Now, the fourth session of the 14th National CPPCC National Committee will conclude this morning at the Great Hall of the People, which is right behind me. Now, this marks the end of a busy annual session of the country's top political advisory body. Wang Huning, chairman of the CPPCC National Committee, will deliver a closing speech. Now, the meeting will also review and adopt several key documents, including political resolutions of the fourth session of the 14th CPPCC National Committee, the Standing Committee's work report, as well as a report on how past proposals have been handled since last annual session. But of course, we're going to learn more details on all that in just a moment. Back to you.
Right, thank you very much, Dai Tai-yi, reporting from the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, where the two sessions have been going on for the past week. Well, now a little knowledge about what CPPCC really is. The Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference is the most powerful political advisory body in China. The CPPCC is mainly responsible for political consultations, democratic supervision, and the deliberation and administration of state affairs. It discusses major principles and policies proposed by the central and local governments and offers proposals on matters concerning political, economic, cultural, and social affairs. It also supervises the implementation of the constitution and the country's rules and regulations and conducts research into social conditions and public sentiment as well.
And in a couple minutes' time, we'll be taking our viewers to the next members' corridor where political advisors will be meeting the press. But what have they been saying for the duration of the two sessions this year? The national political advisors are united in their calls for advancing national development across diverse fields. And they were speaking to journalists at the Great Hall of the People.
The institutional reform of an economy is not a standalone endeavor. It must work in concert with other reforms. We will strengthen the organic integration of top-level design and local reform initiatives and continue to solidify reform achievements through the form of laws and regulations.
We owe our production equipment to the close collaboration of hundreds and thousands of suppliers, and that is a vivid demonstration of the division of labor, seamless coordination, and win-win cooperation present in China's industrial and supply chain ecosystem.
Qinghai has established China's first plateau medical research center and a large database of Tibetan medicine, scientific and technological resources. The province boasts a 4,600-meter-high altitude field research base for plateau medicine and a human genetic resource sample bank for the Qinghai-Xizang Plateau. Qinghai aims to become a health and wellness destination that integrates ecotourism and medicine, allowing plateau wellness to flourish and painting a beautiful picture of harmonious coexistence between humans and nature.
Our team has become younger and more interdisciplinary, with capabilities in cutting-edge exploration and engineering breakthroughs. During the 15th five-year plan period, we will continue to strengthen original innovation, promote the integration of industry, academia, and research, and accelerate the transformation of scientific and technological achievements, so that quantum technology will better serve the development of new quality productive forces and empower high-quality economic and social development.
Now, for more insight, we're now joined in the studio by Mr. Xia Lu, Associate Professor from the School of Marxism Studies at the University of China, and Mr. Adam Dunnett, Secretary General of the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China. Welcome to our special coverage, gentlemen. I'll start with you, Mr. Xia. Well, as this year's CPPCC session closes, what do you think is the clearest signal that two sessions have sent to not only China but to the whole world about where China is going next? Steadier growth for instance, deeper reform, stronger innovation, or more direct response to people's livelihoods?
Well, thank you for having me here. I also closely watched the two sessions. I think the most important, let's say, the most important point that the CPPCC signal to the outside world is that China will still, continue to do its structural reform and open, particularly open to the outside world, because we know that more than 40, actually almost 5 decades ago, China started its reform and open up, right? And China actually started the open first and then did its structural reform in domestic areas. So I think that according to President Xi, the achievement of China's modernization partly resulted from the open. So I think the most a clearest signal to the outside world is that China will continue to do its open and wider and deeper. Yeah.
Adam, coming to you now, when you watch and monitor the two sessions this year, I mean, we've seen a lot of talks around the next 5-year plan, the 15th five-year plan, and it's not just a domestic blueprint. It holds opportunities and prospects for foreign businesses that obviously you represent as well. I wonder what impressed you the most for the duration of the two sessions this year?
First, I think it's always important for viewers to understand that this doesn't happen in a single moment. The whole 5-year plan is a process, and it goes through many reviews and meetings and discussions that take place getting up to it. So a lot of what I've seen so far hasn't come necessarily as a surprise, but it's come more as a confirmation of the issues that companies are facing here in China and that the economy and the government is facing. So I think, going back to your first question as well, one of the first key takeaways I have is the importance of communication. The fact that China is openly sharing the challenges and opportunities that it's facing around this world at a time where there's a lot of confusion and a lot of volatility and all that. For people to understand where China is and where it's going, I think breeds and gives a lot of confidence to the global community. Specifically on opportunities for foreign companies, what I've heard and seen is there's going to be openings in the industries of culture, education, telecoms, and healthcare, and some of those were in the previous plan and some of those are new.
Well, I'm always curious to know, Adam, if you go back home and try to explain just in one sentence what is going on in China's two sessions, one of the major or the most important political season in China, what would you say? A little challenge here.
I can't point to one. I think the most important thing, and again, this is in the documents themselves, is its progress through stability. We see this time and time again with all of the 5-year plans, with all the major announcements, is first of all, it's stability, and through that we will get our progress. I think we've seen a lot of talk about self-reliance and innovation, and I think that'll continue to be, new quality productive forces will continue to be an important driver for the future. I like the fact that the targeted 4.5 to 5% GDP growth, it shows it's not just quantitative driven growth that we're looking at, but qualitative, leaving room for sort of structural changes that need to take place. I think that's very good. And I think, overall, just a recognition of the challenges that China's facing, and also what I like is the tempered approach. We went through a global crisis, financial crisis back in 2008, 2009, and China came up with a big stimulus. I think China's being very, very reserved right now in terms of how it's addressing the economic challenges in the future. It's not simply throwing lots of money at it. It's about creating opportunities. It's about leveraging AI. It's about making the reforms that some of your speakers were talking about.
Although it's more than one sentence, but very solid information. Well, Mr. Xia, the CPPCC is often described as a place where consultation meets governance. From this year's session especially, how do you see that kind of connection visible?
Yes, it's a very clear and it's a very visible and it's a very dynamic function of the CPPCC in Chinese political system. Well, actually, every year we talk about the function of CPPCC, the historical origin, and what is the CPPCC playing in Chinese political system, right? I think that's
more importantly is how the policy making is connected with the reality. Let's take a look at what the members of the CPPCC are about to say.
Friends from the press, good morning. Welcome to attend the third members' corridor of the fourth session of the 14th CPPCC National Committee. Now we have invited a group of CPPCC members to address your questions. Please identify yourself before asking the question. Now I would like to invite the first group of members. Please introduce yourselves. Good morning. I am CPPCC member Li Xingcao from China Conservatory of Music. Good morning. I'm CPPCC member from Beijing University of Post and Telecommunications. My name is Xu Kun. Good morning. I'm CPPCC member Liu Chengyong. I'm from China National Archives of Publications and Culture. Now it's the Q&A session. First question, please. Thank you. With Guangming News, my question is to member Li Xingcao. Comrade Li, you had been lead your team to perform abroad and also to convey the Chinese wisdom of the music to the world and ask them to let the world to better understand China. Can you tell us more about your travel overseas? Thank you for your questions. For me, I'm also an artistic sector and also I'm an educational pioneer. Over the past few years, I always have this idea like how to let the world understand China and hear the sound of China. So music is one of the best ways. For music, it's actually across the borders of the nation. We don't need translations, but people can understand the music from the bottom of their hearts. And also work with the national teams and also to go overseas to tell the Chinese story through music. In the Spring Festival Gala in 2025, it is the first time actually I lead some of my team and delegations to visit 4 European countries covering 6 cities to have a tour of the music with the theme of the Chinese music and the Chinese New Year. And it is well received in those regions and also the countries, and also the ticket box is very good for all of these performances. At the end of the performance, all of these audiences, they also give us a warm applause. And also we have a lot of encores, over 10 minutes for the performances. What impressed me most is actually one of our performances in Vietnam, which is the metropolis of the music. One of the big fans go to the backstage and also hold my hands, and also he said that from the musical notes, I can feel the culture and also the history of China. At that moment, actually, I can feel that music is not just an artistic form. It is also a way for us to communicate with each other and also to exchange our culture. So for this bridge, it can actually go across and go beyond the differences of our institution, policies, and also the culture, and also connect the emotions with different people. So for the Chinese ethnic music, it is not only carry the melody, but also carries the thousands of the history and the spirit of the Chinese nation. For our generation, we actually see the rapid development of the music. So for China right now, it's one of the fastest growth markets in the music industry. And today we are seeing that for the digital platform has also changed the way of communication. For the traditional music, and also combined with the innovation and also integration. And also some of the music is still like deep-rooted and also have the Chinese characteristics, but also combined with some of the foreign elements. We also believe that in the future, we will have more music to carry the Chinese wisdom and also the Chinese culture. And all this music will go to the world stage. And for us, we will have the sincerity and also let the world to enjoy the music of China and to understand an open, confident China. Thank you. Next question, please.
请继续提问，请举手示意。请西区第一排穿浅绿色西服的女记者提问。
Thank you. With Xinhua News Agency, my question to Dr. Xu Gun. Good morning. Right now, we know that AI actually is reshaping the structure and development landscape of all walks of life. How AI will bring the changes to education and how we should respond. Thank you for your question. Artificial intelligence is not just a technology. It also touches the essence of education. The core of the change actually is how we cultivate talents. We need to think about promote large-scale and personalized talent cultivation so that education for thousands of people return to the source of thousands of faces and characteristics. And actually, from the perspective of learning, AI has changed the pace of our learning. In the past, that the unified teaching process arrangements actually cannot really bring that differences or take into account of each individuals. But right now, AI can precise in real time the learning progress of each learners and adjust the learning path based on each situation. Like in our school, actually, we have that app, and that app actually will not directly give the answers to the problems raised by students. It's act like a really experienced teacher. So actually, step by step, really guide and inspire students to explore on themselves and ultimately solve the problem. So it helps students to go from being able to solve problems to being able to think. So they actually could break free from the shackles of standardization, achieving individualized teaching. So for teachers, also AI help them to get out of the massive repetitive work so they can pay more attention to the individual characters of each student, so they can think about that, whether they can stimulate the curiosity of the students and cultivate critical thinking. And also in our school, we also have a platform. So it's a very practical platform that this platform allow our teachers to become the screenwriter. So that's in charge of creating the scenarios, while AI plays different virtual expert roles responsible for the knowledge supply of human-computer interaction and wisdom evaluation. And students become the mean actors. So we talk about that teachers, actually professors, the AI allow them to transform from knowledge lecturers to capability developers, from the knowledge authorities to student growth guides. So AI, we know, is a double-edged sword. We must uphold the positive use of technology, use for good, and also guide students to strengthen their moral education, encourage them to use it, but in a really reasonable manner, avoiding mental laziness. Looking to the future, I believe AI has pressed the fast-forward button for education reform, and the future educational environment will become an open, shared, integrated, data-driven, and human-machine collaborative smart growth space. It will be a real classroom in the industries, the large social classrooms, and also the small classroom in our schools. We will gather that resources and to promote high-quality development and benefiting every student through educational intelligence connection. Thank you very much. Next question, please.
请东区第2排那位穿西服戴眼镜的男记者提问。
Thank you. With culture paper, my question is to member Liu Chengyou. Good morning. We all know that for the China National Archives of Publications and Culture has collected a huge amount of the publications. This also helped to carry forward the traditions and also the spirit of the Chinese culture. So how to make all of these publications at work in the new era? Thank you for your question. So for the China National Archives of Publications and Culture, it's a very important major that has been established by the CPC, and also it has been opened in 2007. It helps us to exchange the culture and also help the education. And this also helped to pass the Chinese culture and the traditions. And for some of the key collections, we will be collected in our national archives. And this helps us to continue to carry forward some of the civilizations. This is also a very important place in the new era. So for the China National Archives of Publications and Culture, we have a major pavilion and also 3 sub-pavilions in 3 cities. So for the central pavilion is actually the main pillar, and also altogether we have collected also over 34 million publications, and also for the digital publications, we also have a huge amount of the collections. And also we have a lot of the publications regarding the ancient publications, ancient societies, and also covering over 30 sectors. For example, we also tell the stories about the Wu Zetian, and also some of the calligraphies from Su Dongpo, and also some of the poetries from Tang Dynasty, and also some of the collections from the Ming Dynasty. So all of these are amount to over 4 million publications. This also shows the development of the ancient Chinese nation, and that the people knows how the civilization evolved over the times. Since the inauguration of our pavilion, we have received over 2.2 million overseas visitors, and this is a very important step for us to demonstrate the culture. For the ambassador from Tanzania, have emphasized that in this pavilion we can see that we protected the publications, and also we are able to demonstrate the diversity of the Chinese culture to the world. This is invaluable assets for our pavilion. So because for our pavilion, it is also demonstrate the civilization and also showcasing the charms and the beauty of the Chinese culture. So right now, we are actually building an online platform to demonstrate all of these publications. We are trying to put out some of these original publications in the digital platform. In the future, we will continue to collect more publications and help us to improve the capacity for the storage, and also to get more digital resources in the National Archives of Publications and Culture, and contribute to the Chinese culture and the civilization. Thank you. Next question, please. Thank you for the first group of the members. Now we would like to invite the second group of members.
Please introduce yourself. Good morning. A member of the CPPCC, Chen Yuzhen, from the Liu Zhai Village Party branch in Huguan County and Changzhi, Shanxi Province. My name is Cui Haiyang from Guizhou Minzu University. Now the floor is open for questions. Thank you. The CPPCC Daily, my question to Ms. Chen Yuzhen. We know you're a party secretary of the local village branch, and actually you have been rooted at the grassroots level for many years, and you have witnessed and experienced the changes in rural China in the new era. And would you please share with us how the lives changed in Liu Village? And what's your plan in the future? Thank you for your question. Yes, I'm a party secretary. More than 30 years ago, I married into Liujia Village. Back then, the village was underdeveloped with weak infrastructure and lagging development. In 2011, during the village committee election, I was elected as a party secretary. At that moment, I made up my mind to lead the villagers out of poverty. We rely on the party's poverty alleviation policies, good measures, and the villagers' hard work. The villagers actually, they witnessed a totally change in terms of water supply, electricity, roads conditions, and network. And we talk about that the whole village actually developed the pillar industries. In 2016, the whole township took the lead in getting rid of poverty. The villagers said with motion, we are grateful to the party's good policies and thankful to have catch up with a good era. Our lives are like sesame blossoms rising step by step. From poverty alleviation to rural revitalization, we are vigorously cultivating the featured industry and finding ways for self-development. We using that a Miao embroidery craftsmanship in the village. We build a modern winery and create our own brand. We have also driven more than 300 households to grow the sorghum and steadily increase their income. And we also have developed the greenhouses and the vegetables actually from these greenhouses selling to Hebei, Henan, and other places. And we talk about, you look at the local villagers, they really motivated. In addition, we have also integrated the resources in the industries, develop tourism. So we have organized more than 30 activities, including the bonfires, the picking the rural vegetables and the food factories, attracting tens of thousands of tourists. And the number of participants in tourism has increased by 10,000 yuan, and the per capita income of our villagers have exceeded 25,000 yuan. So you could see that behind these numbers is the change from waiting for assistance and relief to taking the lead and initiative and believing in themselves. And we also provide a stage for people returning to their hometown to start businesses. We have this platform for live streaming, the running homestays, and it's a very beautiful and the places with thriving industries. And in the future, we will also try a cross-village joint operation mechanism and develop the tourism industry, realize common prosperity. Thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you. Good morning. With Solidarity Paper, my question is to Member Cui Haiyang. Good morning, Mr. Cui. So right now you can see that for the community development, it's very important to promote the ethnic solidarity. Can you tell us more stories about the community? Thank you for your questions. And also thank you for your attention to the community development in China. So for me, I'm from the minority ethnic group. I'm from the Chaoxian ethnic minority group, and actually I was born from Chaoxian ethnic group. And also I work and studied in Yunnan province and the Guizhou province, and from northeast to the southwest, I can see the ethnic development in China. So for me, I always visited different ethnic minority groups. And also actually in one of the places called the Yangshui County, because we can see that for that places, we have a lot of the relocation. And also we are seeing a lot of the resettlement places were built. And the community building and also bring changes to people's livelihood. A lot of people, they cannot believe that right now every one of them actually they can earn their own vehicles. In the past, they don't know how to speak Mandarin and they don't have a lot of the communication with the outside world. But right now with the trainings, more and more villages, they actually know how to speak Mandarin, and also they are trying to do a lot of the intangible cultural heritage. Now you can see all of these ethnic minority groups, they are more confident, and with all of the visitors, they can actually tell the stories of their villages and the communities, and also they can also use their local dances and performances, which also attracted by the visitors. In the past, people were always saying that we just want to live a good life. But right now, they actually want to tell a very good story about their lives. Because now you can see that their livelihood has been significantly improved, and also it gives them confidence to tell the stories, and also they have a better sense of gainings and recognition. And in this community, we have combined various of the ethnic minority groups. A lot of people are actually relocated from a lot of the remote areas and the poor areas. They look out for each other and also support each other. For the children, they can study in very spacious and bright classrooms. And this is the day-to-day life in this community. And in the community now, you can see people who are living together. They also try to pursue their dreams all together. Right now, it is the time to promote the ethnic unity. So they are using a lot of their own skills to gain income. And in the community also, we've done a lot of work to promote the education and to create more employment opportunities for them. So right now, you can see with all of these efforts, they can help us to improve the unity and also to advance the civilization and also to carry forward the culture. And also now you can see we have a lot of the village super football league, and all of these and attracted the attention from the world. And actually last year we have been received visitors for over 800 million people, and this is thanks to the efforts of the development of the community in the local areas. So by developing the communities, we want to retain the talents and make sure that the ethnic unity can be rooted in different communities. And also it can help to build China into a community of the Chinese nation and the ethnic groups. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Next group, please. Now we would like to invite the third group of members. Please introduce yourselves. Good morning. I'm CPPCC member Tu Haimin. I'm from Hong Kong. I'm from the Committee for the Liaison with Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan National Committee of CPPCC. My name is Chen Jiming. I'm from Macau. Good morning. I'm CPPCC member. I'm the head of the Taiwan Compatriots Association, Xu Kewei. So now the floor is open for questions.
请西区第一排穿红棕色衣服的女记者提问。
Thank you. China Daily. My question to Mr. Tu Haiming. Good morning, Mr. Tu. We know in the past, Hong Kong's economy has achieved steady growth, taking a new step towards prosperity through governance. As a member from Hong Kong, how do you think Hong Kong special administration can better integrate into and serve the country's development? First of all, I would like to take this opportunity to express our sincerity to the friends from the media for your care support for Hong Kong, and also would like to share with you some stories in Hong Kong. So in recent times, we always think about how to accelerate the construction of Guangdong, Hong Kong, Macau Greater Bay Area and how to better integrate into the overall development of the country, serving the country, contributing to the country, has become the common understanding in Hong Kong society. Let me share with you some stories. First is the impressive development of the Greater Bay Area. Last November, for the very first time, Guangdong, Hong Kong, and Macau jointly hosted the 15th National Games. And also President Xi Jinping personally attended the opening ceremony and announced the start of the Games. And when the road cycling athletes crossed the border gravely and almost unnotably, they set out from the Hong Kong-Zhuhai-Macau Bridge, passing through Zhuhai, Hengqin, Macau, Hong Kong, enjoying the most beautiful arc in the Greater Bay Area. Second story, that's the gongs. We talk about that. We could heard the sound of the gong every 3 days. On average, a total of 119 companies went public last year, and raising to 185.8 billion the Hong Kong dollars. 94% of the company actually are from the Chinese mainland, and they accounted for 88% of the public offering funds. And the third story I would like to share is the warm applaud in front of the Hong Kong ICR government headquarters building. In August last year, the Ministry of Science and Technology of China presented certificates to 15 national key laboratories in Hong Kong, and the SAR government also announced that it will provide 20 million Hong Kong dollars to support development of these laboratories. And we felt that the charm of integration, and we could feel that the power of Hong Kong and the country from the gong of the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. And we also gain confidence in the development from scientific research corporation. And this year marks the first year of the 15th five-year plan. I believe that also provides a lot more opportunity for Hong Kong to better develop itself and integrate into the country. I believe Hong Kong could play 4 roles. First, it could be the starting point for the mainland enterprises to go global. Hong Kong is very familiar with the international market, so the enterprises from Chinese mainland can register companies in Hong Kong, set sales together with Hong Kong enterprises and go far. And the second role can act as a strong energy for industrial innovation, because Hong Kong is the world's 3rd largest international financial center. It can inject more the financial resources into development of the domestic enterprises. And third is Hong Kong could become a bridge for institutional innovation. Hong Kong's rules, regulations, and management standards are all aligned with those of the countries. I believe that Hong Kong could also to support countries' high-level opening up to the outside world. And the fourth is Hong Kong can be a booster for green products. Many green products and products in Hong Kong are far ahead internationally, can provide low-cost international funds for more green products in China. And we know that high-quality development has a clear theme in Hong Kong ICR. We are aligned with the 15th five-year plan. I believe time waits for no one. Let's further integrate into the national development, and Hong Kong has an unshakable responsibility. With the strong support of the CPPCC National Committee and the people of the whole country, the story of Hong Kong's modernization with Chinese characteristics will become more exciting, touching, and fascinating. Thank you.
Next question, please. Thank you. With Macau Daily, my question is to member Chen Jiming. We all know that for the science-tech education, it's very important to promote the diversified development of Macau. Can you tell us more about the way how Macau promote the science and technological education? Thank you. Thank you for your question. After return to the motherland, for Macau, always attach great importance to the education and to cultivate more talents and to promote the development of the education, especially for the high education. We focus on the science-tech education and also the science-tech innovation. We also make tangible achievements. At the beginning of the establishment of the SAR, at that time we only have like 8,000 people in the higher education, but right now we have over like 28,000 people like dedicated in the research of the science and technology, and also we have over 9,000 people. They're actually working on the master's degree or doctorate degree, and also we have more science tech like researchers have a over like 136% increase compared to previous years. After we returning to the motherland, we always like build platforms to gather the talents and also help us to develop the science tech development and also to promote the industry integration development. We also have 4 key laboratories covering TCM, the microelectronics, the Internet of Things, and also some of the areas relating to the lunar exploration. We also try to pull the strengths and knowledge at home and abroad, and also try to cultivate our talents. So based on the platforms and also some of the key laboratories and universities, we are seeing that we have a lot of the young talents and young scientists. And at the same time, we are also attracting a lot of the leading scientists. They are actually based in the Greater Bay Areas. I would like to use one example. In 2023, the Macau first satellite was successfully launched, and this is a very important effort that has been made from the National Bureau of Astronautics and together with the Macau Academy. So for the Macau University of Science and Technology, we are also honored to take part in the development and research of this satellite. We have the mainland scientists and also we have some foreign experts to participate in this process. We also have a lot of the young talents scientists joining this process. Every one of them, they can gain a lot of achievements from the science-tech development. This also inspired them to resonate with the country and to build China into a strong nation in science and technology. The dreams are very important for the young talents, and also we need to continue to build the science and technology. Macau will stay true to the original aspiration and work together with the Chinese mainland and also continue to build China into a major nation in the education, science, and technology, and we will continue to contribute our wisdom. Thank you. Next question, please.
Thank you. With CMG, my question to Mr. Xu Kewei. We know that in the recent years, more and more the young people from Taiwan have chosen to come to the mainland to study, work, and live. You have always been paying great attention to the exchanges and communication between the youth on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. Could you tell us about their sense of gain and belonging on the mainland? Thank you for your question. I am the third generation Taiwan compatriots living on the mainland. My job is a surgeon. I actually performed surgeries, consultations, and lectures in various provinces. I have met many Taiwanese youths who come to the mainland to study, start business, and settle down. I love sitting down, enjoying their storytelling, and talk about their striving and hard work. And I know a young people called Sun Xingxu. He actually, after graduates with a doctorate, he quickly became a key member of the department in the hospital. And he said what attracted him is the most is the warm, the working atmosphere and the international academic exchange environment. Another old friend from Yunlin, Taiwan, called Lin Jingyi, and he paid a lot of attention to the cultural heritage, especially intangible cultural heritage, and believe that the intangible cultural heritage is a shared cultural gene on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. And also I know a called the Huang Guanjie returned to the Chinese mainland from the United States, and that person has been engaged in the manufacturing industry in Zhongshan, Guangdong province, promoting furniture companies to shift from OEM to brand going global. And that young person found that the mainland market is huge and the policies are very supportive, and also all walks of life are full of vitality, making it a fertile land for Taiwanese youth to realize their dreams. And also shared with me that participating in organizing changes between young people on both sides, helping more Taiwanese people, the young people understand the real mainland. We know last year nearly 4.9 million Taiwan residents visited the Chinese mainland, among whom young people accounted for over 1/3. And I have seen that the Taiwanese youth in the mainland can integrate a taste of both sides with a cup of milk tea and create a chain brand. And they actually also apply AI to traditional manufacturing and become a dark horse in the industry. I also actually could really feel that they really reflect the spirit of the where is a will, there is a way, and also could see that they work really hard to lead themselves to success. They yearn for peace, development, which is also the shared aspiration of people on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. Young people in Taiwan and those on the Chinese mainland, if we come and go often, interact with each other, the future will be better. We are from the same family, and we are one big family on both sides of the Taiwan Strait. We will work together to create a better future. Thank you. Thank you very much. This is the end of this year's sessions of Members Corridor. See you next year. Bye.
All right, we just heard 8 CPPCC members answering the media's questions. And I have to say that, Zhongshi, this corridor part is my most favorite part, because only from the corridors, from the members or deputies' answers, can we learn the real people's stories, what they do, how they connect the grand policy priorities into reality.
It's a very condensed version of the expertise, insight that they have brought to the 2 sessions. So in very limited time, we were able to hear the latest developments in their respective fields, plus some very personalized stories. Let's talk about this with our guests here in the studio. But before that, let's get a check with our reporter Dai Kai-yi live at the Great Hall of the People. Dai, you've been listening to those members talk at the Members Corridor. What insights have you gained from the Members Corridor?
That's right, Zhongshi, and Dongning is the 3rd and last Members Corridor at this year's 2 sessions, bringing together voices from across culture, education, as well as grassroots communities. We heard from a range of political advisors just now sharing their frontline perspectives, if you will, in their respective fields. For example, we heard from the party secretary and director of the National Archives of Publications and Culture talking about the archive's mission to preserve the roots of Chinese culture. Now, this institution is there to protect, safeguard, as well as to collect key texts, artifacts, as well as cultural records. And on the grassroots level, we have a party secretary of Liuzhai village in Shanxi province. She was talking about how culture can power rural revitalization. Her village develops tourism around its traditional liquor brewing culture, leveraging its own heritage and turning it into new economic opportunities. The goal, of course, is to boost local villagers' incomes and to create a sustainable model of growth for local community as a whole. And other than that, Vice Chair of the CPPCC Committee on Liaison with Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan, and Overseas Chinese talked about the evolving role of both SARs, or Special Administrative Regions, in national development. In previous interviews, he also touched on that, saying Hong Kong can serve as a launchpad for mainland companies going global while acting as a pull for international high-end talents. Now, the SARs, he said, will continue to play their part as super connectors linking China with the rest of the world. But before today's event, we also saw over a dozen members speaking to media in previous Members Corridor events. Now, this is really the whole process, people's democracy, playing out on the ground. They're from all walks of life. Some members work in the private sector, some in agriculture, they're innovators, researchers. So they really represent a broad range, or a broad cross-section of society in China, and their perspectives can directly feed into the decision-making process of the country. There's no doubt about it. They played an essential role, and they will continue to play that essential role for the country to constantly fine-tune and optimize its policy priorities. Back to you.
We appreciate that update from you. And as you were talking to us, we saw members head into the hall as they prepare to take part in the closing ceremony of the annual session of the CPPCC National Committee this year. Great work. Thank you so much. And let's get back to our guests here in the studio. Adam, I believe you were talking about openness in the way the two sessions are organized to keep members of the press and media, and by extension members of the general public, very posted on what is going on here. In that same spirit, the Members Corridor was held, a total of 3 this year for the CPPCC members. What is your major takeaway from those 8 speakers, from the 8 national political advisors just now?
Well, like your anchor just said from the Great Hall of the People there, just the diversity and the breadth of experience and knowledge that comes into the two sessions from all over China across so many different sectors. I think the second individual was speaking about AI and its uses. That's obviously a big focus of the 15th five-year plan, and it got me thinking about it as well, and some of the conversations that have been and recommendations that I've seen as well about the importance of inclusiveness of data, open public data. So here you have somebody at the grassroots talking about his or her experiences, and then seeing that translated into the conversations and decisions and policies that are being set forth now in the 15th five-year plan, which is great. And I also like the story about Zhuhai and the games down there. I was down there last year, and a beautiful bridge. I couldn't believe it. Just the level of development that's taken place, and again the diversity of opportunities that there are in China and initiatives. Your reporter was talking about the special administrative regions, and there's also all the different development zones and initiatives that are taking place, whether it's the Jingjingji or the free trade port in Hainan. And just for your information, my organization, we're meeting with the Vice Governor of Hainan tomorrow to explain to our members, to explain to European companies the opportunities that exist throughout China. And so all of these areas that the other person was speaking about culture and tourism locally, right. I mean, think about all the different cultural advantages, whether it's the coffee or the other special produce in Hainan that, could be an opportunity for foreign investors as well.
Right, actually, the variety of voices showcased just now can be seen as snapshots of the real life on the ground, reflecting how the policy is going. And what impressed me the post is the culture part you mentioned. Well, Mr. Xia, Liu Chengyong, the head of the National Archives of Publications Culture, spoke something very interesting. I don't know if you noticed all that in particular. Described the institution as the kind of a seed gene bank of Chinese culture. For instance, a Western text that actually scholars say push back the timeline of wood printing by more than a century and helped filling a sort of a missing line in how Chinese printing history spread westward. So when China talks about, time again, about culture confidence today, isn't the country increasingly trying to ground that idea, not just in symbols, in symbolism, but also in very solid evidence and very preserved history like that?
Right. Yes, I noticed what this President Liu's kind of remarks. Actually, I have been visiting the archive for many times. It was a kind of very great archive there. So when we visited there, I suddenly found out that the Chinese culture was not, or is not only about calligraphy, is not only about something like a Beijing opera, something about the different forms of arts and performance. Chinese culture is more about systematic thinking and also the result of the systematic thinking. I still remember when I was doing my PhD studies, one of the important books that influenced me and my study a lot was written by a group of scholars, foreign scholars of course, but they study Chinese thought and the Chinese institution. They concluded that the two dimensions of Chinese culture is Chinese thought and Chinese institution, and it happened before, it happens now, and it will happen in the future, that this group of culture will influence not only the people, the way in which people think, Chinese people think, but also the foreign people think. We know that ever since in a new era, also ever since 2022, China opened wider of its door, welcomed more and more let's say normal, or we can say normal people, a foreigner, come to China to visit China, not only the elites, but also these ordinary people. And they did a lot of video to broadcast, to tell their audiences or their followers what China is and what China is doing now, and what Chinese civilization, what Chinese modernization is doing. And particularly what is the roots of all the achievement in China. I think that most of them touched a very good point, is that the Chinese culture played an important role in here, and that happened in history, and that will also happen in the future. I think that's not only about the performance arts and the calligraphy, it's more about the way of thinking.
More importantly, this bank, this seed gene bank, is about providing hard evidence of what we've been talking about, of China's really long history.
Right. It's very interesting that in this group of national political advisors, many of them are educators, and they talked about what I would call education plus topics, education plus AI, education plus music, education plus ethnic solidarity. So let me follow up with you, Professor Xia here. One of them talked about obviously the power of AI, and as we dive deeper with the power of AI, we have also to be mindful of the limitations and also of the adverse effects AI could have on our students. I believe he called AI a double-edged sword and urged students to use AI reasonably. I mean, in your classroom, in your interactions with your students, how do we make that happen? How do we make sure that they do not fall behind the power of AI, but also that they can be responsible users of this very powerful tool?
very good question, very challenging question. Actually, it is happening now. I still remember that at this time last year, almost 1 year ago or more than 1 year ago, I started to follow the news about the AI. Most of the news are talking about the DeepSeek and other kind of the AI's kind of agent. And we also in class, we are facing this kind of new challenge. Students are using the AI to help them think, help them to sort out information, help them to lay out what kind of outline they are doing in the future, help them to narrow down, even to sharpen their research question. I think that is good. I think that is we should embrace the AI first. We can talk about the industrial revolution in history to compare with the challenges or the opportunity we are facing now. When we face this kind of the new invented forms or tools in history, we got shocked and we didn't know what to do, and we didn't know what kind of negative, so-called negative influence that will bring to our life. Well, similar here, we don't know in the future what AI will bring to us, but I think the first place is to know it, to embrace it, and not to limit in the first place. Of course, we should know that that's the both sides of this kind of sort, but we should first embrace that. We should know what kind of opportunity it can bring to us, what kind of convenience it can bring to us. Then we do some kind of more strict or detailed, ways to curtail or to prevent it. For example, the plagiarization. For example, to reduce the students' thinking. For example, not help them to improve, but help them to find more way to skip. I think that would be the challenging for both of the students and the teacher, and also the university's management. Right.
All right, gentlemen, appreciate your insight. Do bear with us here on our program. We'll be back with you in just a few moments' time. Now, Cui Haiyang, member of the Central Committee of the China Democratic League, explains the importance of community development to promote ethnic unity.
在互县的社区里，各族群众
And in the community now, you can see people who are living together. They also try to pursue their dreams all together. Right now, it is the time to promote the ethnic unity. So they are using a lot of their own skills to gain income. And in the community also, we've done a lot of work to promote the education and to create more employment opportunities for them. So right now, you can see with all of these efforts, they can help us to improve the unity and also to advance the civilization and also to carry forward the culture. And also now you can see we have a lot of the village super football league, and all of these and attracted the attention from the world. And actually last year we have been received visitors for over 800 million people, and this is thanks to the efforts of the development of the community in the local areas. So by developing the communities, we want to retain the talents and make sure that the ethnic unity can be rooted in different communities. And also it can help to build China into a community of the Chinese nation and the ethnic groups. Thank you.
All right, let's get back to our guests. While talking about the Greater Bay Area, it is one of China's economic development clusters, the very successful one. And when we talk about the Greater Bay Area, we often focus on very big visions such as innovation, like finance, manufacturing, high-tech, etc. But on the ground, the real test feels like much more every day. For instance, can a Hong Kong researcher work smoothly in a Shenzhen lab? Or can a Macau resident commute successfully in Hong Kong or easily in Hong Kong? Or can a company, for instance, design in one country, raise capital in another country and manufacture in the third country, etc., etc. It's all about integration. Do you see the current Great Bay Area has developed into such a mature model already? Adam.
I think it's an ongoing process. I know we have 2 offices in South China, in Shenzhen and in Guangzhou, and our members were very, very excited about the launch of GBA and continue to focus on it carefully. But it's an ongoing process. Yes, there are people that live in Hong Kong and work in Shenzhen and vice versa, so I'm aware of those types of arrangements. I know people are very, very proud of the life and the work style that they have down there, and the innovation hub that it is. Some of the policies that have been used to attract investment and attract talents there are still ongoing. I think even in the discussions for the 2 sessions, for example, there's the issue of financing, and so there are preferential treatment taxes for individuals and for companies to lure them down there, but some of them have been paid, some of them still need to be paid out, and so I know that's an issue for our members down there. But otherwise, we have a lot of fanfare about it, and there's a big GBA event happening, I think, in the next few weeks that's being hosted in Hainan as well to promote the whole region, which is quite nice.
All right, we'll be getting back to you for more discussions about what the members said this morning. And Tu Haiming, Vice Chairman of the CPPCC Committee on Liaison with Hong Kong, Macau, Taiwan and Overseas Chinese, talks about Hong Kong's development. And he says Hong Kong welcomed 119 new listings last year, with total IPO funds raised ranking first worldwide.
Hong Kong joined the most beautiful arc in the Greater Bay Area. Second story, that's the gongs. We talk about that. We could heard the sound of the gong every 3 days. On average, a total of 119 companies went public last year, and raising to 185.8 billion the Hong Kong dollars. 94% of the company actually are from the Chinese mainland, and they accounted for 88% of the public offering funds.
The closing meeting of the 4th session of the 14th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference is set to begin at 9 a.m. Beijing time. The country's top political advisory body will bring its annual session to a close shortly. Our reporter, Zheng Yibing, is at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing.
The closing meeting of the 4th session of the 14th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference will soon be held. The 7-day session is drawing to a close with over 2,100 CPPCC National Committee members and set to reveal and adopt several resolutions, helping consolidate the consensus for their work in the year ahead. Wang Huning, a member of the Standing Committee of the Political Bureau of the Communist Party of China Central Committee and chairman of the CPPCC National Committee, will deliver the speech at the meeting. Notably, as with the opening meeting, the foreign diplomatic envoys have been invited to attend, offering them an opportunity to observe the practice of Chinese-style democracy through the window of this political season. And from Asia to Europe, from Africa to Latin America, media and observers from various countries are all asking the same question. In a world filled with turmoil and chaos, what can China bring? While looking back on the past 7 days, committee members have delivered the comprehensive account of their work and responsibilities. The discussions revolved around the 15th five-year plan starting this year, from food security, poverty alleviation to environmental protection, from the cultivation of new quality productive forces to the institutional exploration for high-level opening up. Each topic is setting the tone for the next 5 years, sharing development opportunities with the world through high-level openness and responding to the common challenges with a Chinese approach. As Liu Jieyi, spokesperson for the session, noted, China has remained a stable, reliable, and proactive force in a turbulent world. That message was echoed throughout the 7-day agenda, as members shared their views and proposals. And here, during this political season, we have once again witnessed a vivid example of Chinese-style democracy in action. Zheng Yibing, CGTN, Beijing.
This is our special coverage of China's 2 sessions. We'll be right back after this.
How will China's 15th five-year plan affect the lives of 1.4 billion people? And what does China's policy making mean for the world? People's democracy in action. This March, China's most important annual political event, the Two Sessions. We'll bring you comprehensive coverage of crucial decisions on high-standard opening up, new quality productive forces, China's green transition and enhancing people's well-being, and its impacts in a time of global turmoil and uncertainty. Join us for our special coverage of the Two Sessions, only on CGTN.
China has unveiled its key development targets for the 15th five-year plan period from 2026 to 2030. And the targets were outlined in the government work report delivered to the National People's Congress this morning. The report says China expects to keep its GDP growth within an appropriate range in light of actual conditions over the next 5 years. And they will lay the foundation for achieving the goal of doubling China's 2020 per capita GDP by 2035 to the level of a moderately developed country. And the report also highlights innovation as a major growth engine, projecting an average annual increase of at least 7% in nationwide research and development spending. China also plans to advance green and digital development. It targets a 17% reduction in carbon emissions per unit of GDP by 2030, while expanding core digital economy industries to 12.5% of GDP. And the report also outlines improvements in public well-being, with average life expectancy expected to reach 80 years. And to support these goals, China proposes 109 major projects spanning 6 key areas, ranging from steering the development of new quality productive forces to ensuring and improving public well-being.
East China's Jiangsu province is a major manufacturing powerhouse. Enterprises there have pledged to step up efforts to develop new quality productive forces after President Xi Jinping took part in a deliberation with delegates from Jiangsu. We get this report from CGTN's Wu Bin.
This is steel cord, an indispensable material used in tire manufacturing. Take a look at this intelligent manufacturing unit. Each day, thousands of tons of steel wire are produced here. Well, this is the world's most advanced production unit in making steel cord. Dozens of robots like this and over 2,000 machines, they are working the same time non-stop. And the company says that almost 1/3 of the world's steel cord will be made here by the end of 2027. For traditional manufacturers, producing these products once requires significant human effort and could sometimes be dangerous. While taking part in the deliberation with deputies from the Jiangsu delegation, President Xi Jinping called for greater efforts to optimize and upgrade traditional industries. For these industries, intelligence and digitalization are key.
Our most distinctive feature is we have a 5G plus industrial platform, which manages over 25,000 production devices, more than 400 industrial robots, nearly 1,000 5G-enabled automated guided vehicles, and over 3,000 5G handheld terminals. Compared to traditional production lines, this achieves a 50% reduction in labor costs and a 20% increase in production efficiency.
President Xi also stressed the importance of promoting the integrated development of education, technology, and talent. That involves the joint efforts of government, business, and universities. A pilot-scale test platform is considered crucial for connecting research institutes, talents, industries, and financial support.
On one hand, the platform must be open, attracting both businesses and students and engineers to immerse themselves, writing their theses on the production line. On the other hand, it must break down identity barriers, encouraging university professors and corporate experts to engage in cross-sector collaboration, enabling those who understand technology and those who understand the market to work together seamlessly.
Jiangsu is a major manufacturing powerhouse in China. The manufacturing sector accounted for over a third of its GDP in 2025, ranking first in the country. CGTN, Huai'an, Jiangsu Province.
And now back to our studio guest. Well, Mr. Xia, during the two sessions, President Xi actually took part in the deliberation with NPC deputies from the delegation of Jiangsu Province, on which he stressed the role that major provincial economies play in underpinning national economic stability while taking a major role in the whole country. But the question is how? In what sectors can Jiangsu make progress to set a leading role in the whole country?
Well, I think that would be that was the second time President Xi attended the deliberation in Jiangsu group. I think both times, if I remember right, both times he emphasized the importance of science technology, particularly in this manufacture. We know that Jiangsu province, not only Jiangsu province, but also some other provinces in the eastern coast areas, play an important role in China's manufacture. But they have done a lot in traditional manufacture, but in the future they are facing the structural reform and the structural, upgrading in terms of what are the main engine of the output in the future. And I think President Xi emphasizes the science and technology. If I remember correctly, this year, 2026, marked the 70th anniversary of the publication of the first long-term, let's say, plan of science technology ever since the founding of People's Republic of China in 1956, October. And back then, we know that China was still in its first five-year plan. China was still struggling from a new founded nation to a modernization. And we know that a lot of people were struggling from the kind of bare life. But back then, the first generation of leadership still made a lot of decisions in making a long-term plan for science technology. So I think that would be the continuation of the CPCC leadership in this midterm and long-term management. And that would be the key point that President Xi emphasizes. Yeah.
Right. And apart from actually have a flashy frontier tech, it is also trying to make the traditional industries much smarter. We're going to talk about that later. The annual session of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference is drawing to a close, and a resolution has been approved on the work report of the Standing Committee of the 14th CPPCC National Committee.
And in the meantime, a resolution on the report on how the proposals from CPPCC members have been handled since the third session of the 14th CPPCC National Committee has been approved. And let's continue our conversation with our guests here in the studio. Adam, a couple years back, we had you on the program when China was legislating the foreign investment law, a major push back then to demonstrate China's seriousness in welcoming foreign businesses and providing them with a level playing field with your Chinese counterparts here in the country. Now, after a couple of years, improving the business environment was once again highlighted in the government work report. Let me get your view on China's current business environment overall, and what have your members been telling you about what they want going forward?
Okay. Well, you're right. That's one of the consistencies that we've seen with the 14th five-year plan, and we're obviously very pleased to see that language in there. There's also been language about updating rules and regulations that are complementary to the foreign investment law as well. That's new language that we've seen being discussed. So I'm glad that's going to be happening as well. In terms of the overall business environment, I mean, your reporters have talked about global uncertainty, and as I was saying earlier, China provides a good degree of certainty and stability. The business environment here, though, for Chinese and foreign companies alike, as we know, is very difficult. As we've seen in the discussions this week, lots of talk about involution or irrational competition and the importance of structural reforms taking place. That is really, really important. Our members longer term have a positive, optimistic outlook about China for all of the reasons we've seen just now in terms of the innovative capacity and the manufacturing powerhouse that China is. But we would like to see these issues on structural reform taking place. Probably the biggest issue that our members are facing right now is with restraints on export controls, rare earths and magnets. Really, really important for the global supply chain and for China to reassure foreign companies abroad and in China that it's a reliable partner for its supply chain. The other issue for the European Union back home in the member states is the trade imbalance. And again, I've seen language this week, a very, very positive language about boosting imports so as to attain a more balanced trade relationship. I think that's going to be very, very important. And I know the recent visits of a lot of heads of states to China, they've received that message as well. So I look forward to watching the numbers this year to see where trade goes. I just saw the numbers this morning on the first 2 months of this year, and we haven't yet turned the corner yet in terms of getting imports higher than exports in terms of the growth. They're both growing, which is good, but we want to get imports growing just a little bit more.
Understood. Appreciate your insight. Thank you so much.
China's 2026 fiscal policy will prioritize strengthening the domestic market. And according to the government work report, the country will launch special initiatives to boost consumption. And these efforts will focus on stimulating household spending through targeted policies and expanded programs. And to support these goals, 250 billion yuan in ultra-long special treasury bonds will be allocated for consumer goods trade-in programs, and alongside refinements to relevant implementation mechanisms. On the investment front, China will work to unlock the potential of effective investment, concentrating on key areas such as new quality productive forces, urbanization, and well-rounded personal development. And the total of 755 billion yuan has been set aside in the central government budget for investment this year. And in addition, 800 billion yuan in ultra-long special bonds will be used to implement major national strategies and strengthen security capacity in critical sectors.
And now let's also get you caught up with the closing meeting of the annual session of the CPPCC, which is still underway. Just moments ago, a report on the review of proposals submitted during the fourth session of the 14th CPPCC National Committee was approved. Let's get back to our guests here in the studio. A related issue to what Adam was underscoring just now about the difficult business environments is domestic consumption. Professor Xia, coming to you now. The government work report aims to unlock consumption potential in cultural tourism, sports, and wellness. If you look at what happened last year, coming into this year, increasing domestic consumption is a recurring theme, a recurring challenge, if you will. What new trends are emerging in these areas, and what more tools, measures are still possible to encourage domestic consumption here?
Yes, that was a very good question. And if we look at the history of China's open-end reform ever since 1978, we can see clearly about the development of the three major pillars' role in boosting China's economy. In the first decade, that was 1980s, it was major about export, right? Foreign trade and another kind of related activity. In the 1990s, the middle decade, it was more about, it was transforming from foreign trade to domestic investment, more infrastructure, more, let's say road and high-speed railway and airport. And then, since the 2012, the new era, well, the central leadership or the Chinese kind of policymaker realized that it is time for domestic consumption play important role in boosting Chinese economy, because we know that each and every pillars will have its high time or hey time, most important time during the history Ministry of the Development. And now it is time for Chinese people or the Chinese leadership to realize that the personal consumption or this kind of domestic consumption. And I think domestic consumption also upgraded. In 1980s, 1990s, people just need a kind of a basic kind of requirement for food and for the housing and for transportation and even for clothing and other kind of tourism. But in first quarter of 21st century, we clearly see this kind of improvement and upgrading of the domestication. People are not just satisfied with we have more room to live, we have more kind of choices in terms of food. They want more kind of higher and higher quality, better and better accommodation, and better service in the future. And I think that will also be the challenge for the service kind of sectors. We are happy about what happened in Spring Festival, but more and more people go to southern China, different places to have a tour. But we still realize, we still clearly see the problem or the current, let's say, the short back in there, right? So I think in the future, if we want to play more important role as the domestic consumption, I think the more infrastructure, more service kind of sector should be improved, and that will also be a double effect in the influence of domestic consumption.
Yeah, and the personalized or people are buying for not only the service, the products, but also for their mood, for their feeling, is also very interesting trend happening in China. And there's a great example from Hangzhou, a silk factory actually using AIGC that can turn out a personalized silk in little less 30 minutes for some special person or special requirement. Do you think that consumption trend is going to lead in China's domestic consumption in the near future? And are foreign enterprises interested in that?
Yeah, so I wasn't familiar with this specific example that you gave.
But that's the trend in general, actually, to be personalized in terms of consumption.
Absolutely. I mean, it is super interesting because in the past, people just wanted a certain label or brand, and everybody had the same thing. But now, now it's all about personalization. Absolutely. And as you say with mood, it's about experiences, right? People already have the bag, the car, the house, or whatever, and it's a part of just moving up the value chain. Is they want to have those experiences. So I see a lot of companies, for example, in the tourism industry. Yes, nice to have a nice hotel, but what am I going to do when I visit this city or this village? So again, the person from the members corridor gave some very good examples, and I think there's huge potential in China at a local level to better promote tourism and to attract people. The prices in China are very reasonable for 4- and 5-star hotels. With AI, the language issues are less of a problem. With the improvements of e-payment services and some of the support that you get when you land on arrival at airports to help with phones and with e-payments, WeChat and Alipay and all that.
Do you think that will start actually kind of revolutionary in China's service industry?
I think it's already happening. I think we've still got a huge trajectory to go. We've got to get people coming back here and seeing China. But I see a huge potential in that area. But I do want to add that as part of developing the consumption part of a GDP, I mean, yes, there's a much stronger focus on the 15th five-year plan. Before it was stimulating. Now the language I hear is vigorously boosting, right? That's much stronger language. The finances that you were talking about, the long-term issuance of bonds, it's about the same amount as what we saw in the 14th five-year plan and in last year. So that means the only way to boost it is to use that financing in a much more efficient way. Again, enter new quality productive forces, if you like. And so, yeah, being able to do that if I think about it from a regulatory perspective, is making things easier for businesses. So things like labeling requirements or standards or approval processes. These sound like boring, simple things that don't have an impact. But if you're that individual company that you just mentioned and you need a business license or you need an approval or you need some sort of certification to be able to put your product on the market, I mean, those days and hours that you wait for it to get that approval really, really count.
Streamlining the processes so that you will have more vitality, so people will have more incentives to really make it work. Well, we're on the topic of tourism. You heard from that political advisor that they're trying to incorporate cultural tourism into developing agriculture and agricultural affairs locally, and that's been a huge trend here in China. In many rural areas, they're doing the same here. So it's fine that you're planting sorghums, you're using greenhouses, you're building wineries, but they're also trying to bring more vitality into local economies by bringing more people in. So this is where cultural tourism comes in. So my question to you, Professor Xia, what is the potential here that you see localities all trying on this new thing, this combination of cultural tourism and local agriculture?
Well, yes, that was a very interesting question. Recently, we had a collaborative research with a School of Tourism or School of Tourism Studies. They have a very kind of interesting question is that more and more visitors not only came to enjoy the scene, they came to ask why this scene happened and what are the background, what are the real dynamism behind
We'll
this.
continue our conversation immediately after this.
Let's head back to the Great Hall of the People, where we're monitoring the closing of this year's annual session of the CPPCC National Committee. In a few moments' time, I do believe the chairman of the National Committee of the CPPCC will deliver.
Dear members and comrades, the fourth session of the 14th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, through the joint efforts of all members, has successfully completed all its agenda. The CPC Central Committee attaches great importance to this meeting. General Secretary of the CPC Central Committee, Chinese President and Chairman of the Central Military Commission, Comrade Xi Jinping, together with other party and state leaders, attended the opening and the closing meetings of the conference. They visited members and participated in the joint group discussions, deliberating with members on major affairs of the state. During the sessions, all members seriously discussed the government work report, draft outline of the 15th five-year plan, and other reports. Deliberated on the work report of the Standing Committee of the CPPCC, proposals and other documents, achieving fruitful outcomes. All members has aware that the extraordinary development of the past year and the 14th five-year plan were hard-won. And all of these are precious development achievements. We are determined to make greater contributions to advance Chinese modernization in the new era and continue to create new chapters to achieving two miracles, that is the rapid economic development and long-term social stability. So this conference holds high the banner, build a consensus, make pragmatic progress with strict discipline. This showcasing that for the members, they perform their duties for the state and show their responsibilities for the people. This also shows that the unique strength and the vitality for the socialist consultative democracy. The year of 2026 marks the beginning of the 15th five-year plan. The CPC has led millions of people and marched on the new journey to advance the Chinese modernization with confidence. The CPPCC shall understand our positions and our duties and to find key points to serve the general development situation of the 15th five-year plan and to give full play to its dedicated consultative functions and lead the various political parties and organizations and people from all ethnic groups and all sectors of societies and rally people's hearts, build consensus, pull wisdom, gather strength, and serve the 15th five-year plan. We will give full play to the role of the CPPCC as the political organization. We should stay committed to the leadership of the CPC and to strengthen our understanding of the theory, improve our ideological understanding through regular study, reflection, and insight. During this process, we should enhance our capability in our political understanding. We have to understand that the political nature of the CPPCC system and the CPPCC organization. We shall perform our duties within the scope of the CPPCC Charter to make sure that the CPPCC work shall follow the correct political direction.
We must better leverage the CPPCC's role in offering policy advice and making proposals. Wherever the central task of the party and the nation advance, the CPPCC must bring together wisdom and strengths to support them. Serving and facilitating the implementation of the 15th five-year plan will be the main task of our work. It should be reflected in every aspect of fulfilling the functions of political consultation, democratic oversight, and participation in deliberation on state affairs. We should focus on major issues in economic and social development, deepen forward-looking research and strategic thinking, and put forward valuable and weighty opinions and suggestions. We should strive to understand the changes in the situation, identify the crux of the problems, and develop practical and effective solutions. We must stay committed to the principle that the CPPCC serve the people, offer more proposals that benefit the people, do more practical things for their well-being, and ensure that the fruits of modernization benefit all. We should better leverage the CPPCC's role in building consensus and bringing people together. We should improve the mechanisms for giving full play to the United Front's political role in rallying the support of the people and pooling strengths. We should integrate ideological and political guidance into everyday work and make it a constant effort. In doing so, we should ensure that all the CPPCC's duties help build consensus, promote unity, and bring together greater strengths. We should carry out activities such as theoretical briefings on the CPPCC, news and public communication, external exchanges. Members should maintain close contact with people from the sectors they represent and fulfill their duties effectively to serve the people. We should make a good use of the major achievements of the 14th five-year plan and the bright prospects of the 15th five-year plan to inspire and encourage people. We should assist the party and the government in explaining policies, addressing doubts and concerns, easing public sentiment, resolving conflicts, and forge a mighty force of all Chinese people, both at home and abroad, for new achievements on a new journey in the new era. Fellow members and comrades, let us rally more closely around the CPC Central Committee with Comrade Xi Jinping at its core. Work together with one heart and forge ahead in unity, and strive to build China into a great modern socialist country in all respects. Please all rise for the national anthem. I now declare the fourth session of the 14th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference closed.
here is what we've also learned from the closing of this year's annual session of the CPPCC National Committee. A political resolution of the fourth session of the 14th CPPCC National Committee has been approved.
Well, the fourth session of the 14th CPPCC National Committee has just concluded at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing. And for more on that, let's talk to our reporter Dai Kai-yi at the Great Hall. So, Kai-yi, walk us through some of the highlights and also your key takeaways.
That's right, Dongning and Zhongshi. So the CPPCC annual session has just concluded here at the Great Hall of the People in Beijing, right behind me. Over 2,000 members of the National Committee attended. Now, during the meeting, Wang Huning, chairman of the CPPCC National Committee, delivered a closing speech. And during the meeting, they also reviewed and adopted several key documents, including political resolutions of the fourth session of the 14th CPPCC National Committee, the Standing Committee's work report, as well as the report on how past proposals had been handled since last annual session. And during this week-long session, which starts on March 4th, CPPCC members really offered frontline and first-hand insights to support China's development in 2026 and those longer-term, more forward-looking goals outlined in the 15th five-year plan. Now, over the past 7 days or so, we really see that this whole process, people's democracy, is playing out on the ground. Now, is there to ensure that the voices of the people are heard and also considered in the decision-making process. The National Committee of the CPPCC is composed of 34 sectors. These members are from all walks of life. We see some of them work in the private sector, some are innovators, researchers, some in agriculture, and just so you know, ethnic minorities are represented, as well as the compatriots of Hong Kong, Taiwan, and Macau. They're represented as well. So in short, they represent a broad cross-section of society, and their perspectives can directly feed into the decision-making process of the country. There's no doubt about it. They're playing an essential part for the country to constantly optimize and fine-tune its policy priorities. And beyond China, what does the two sessions mean to the world, right? There's no doubt about it. The two sessions is closely watched by global observers, and it makes sense, especially at a time when global community faces headwinds and turmoils. What policy signal does China send, and where is the world's second largest economy heading? These are all the questions the global observers are watching closely, and for many of them, China remains to be that forward-looking country with coherent strategies, being able to plan years and even decades ahead. So many would certainly hope that China would continue to play a source of certainty in a highly uncertain world. Back to you.
Kai-yi, appreciate your reporting throughout the duration of the two sessions this year. Thank you so much.
All right, now let's continue our discussions with our guests. Well, Mr. Xia, I do know you have noticed a lot of interesting proposals made by the CPPCC members. I do, and we heard a lot of proposals actually of people's concerns, most concerned affairs in the society. So how do you think in that way, given the status of CPPCC, that policymakers are connecting with real people's concerns?
Yes, that just, I still remember one of our questions previously talk about this thing is the Chinese whole process people's democracy. How does it work, and how does Chinese people, or how are Chinese people making democracy work? And I remember one of the important books in my field, the political science, is Making Democracy Work, written by a Harvard professor. But I want to say that Chinese democracy is making democracy work for all, because I wrote an article about this. So that's not just in say, that just not in kind of in a formal way, but in a real kind of a real way. Chinese people, and they have a lot of liaison office. They have this kind of a contact, and they can share their opinion. They can write email, and they can just went to this member's office, not only national national committee member, but also provincial, committee member and the city committee member, and they can contact with and we also know that all these kind of 2,000 plus members, they have their own job. They have their own ordinary job in their daily life. When they finish their kind of meeting, went back to their daily life, they have their normal contact with their people, and they knew and they know.
They feel the pain.
Yes, they are familiar with the people's kind of life. For example, I remember one of the members actually is the university president, Chinese Communication University president. Actually, he said that in the future, in the Chinese Communication University, will cancel a lot of majors in the future because that would be outdated, right? Improvement, and it become a headline and a trending line. Most people would talk about that. You cannot cancel major, but in my opinion, that is the way of improvement in Chinese education and keep pace with the development.
I remember he said you've got to live with that fact.
Right.
That is going to happen. You've got to live with that.
Right.
All right. We'll continue our discussion on that. And Wang Huning, chairman of the 14th CPPCC National Committee, says the CPPCC will better leverage its role to advise and make proposals for policy making.
We must better leverage the CPPCC's role in offering policy advice and making proposals. Wherever the central task of the party and the nation advance, the CPPCC must bring together wisdom and strengths to support them. Serving and facilitating the implementation of the 15th five-year plan will be the main task of our work. It should be reflected in every aspect of fulfilling the functions of political consultation, democratic oversight, and participation in deliberation on state affairs. We should focus on major issues in economic and social development, deepen forward-looking research and strategic thinking, and put forward valuable and weighty opinions and suggestions.
Gentlemen, I do want to spend some time on how the rest of the world might be tracking China's annual political season and maybe the subtle shift in tone or narratives that are evident in their coverage. Because last year we saw headlines like China will retaliate against U.S. tariffs, and this year some of their headlines run China hopes 2026 will be a landmark year for ties with the U.S., obviously echoing what the foreign minister said in his press conference. But just looking at these very different headlines and how foreign media has been covering the two sessions, has there maybe been minor changes or subtle changes in how the rest of the world is monitoring China at now? Adam, you said just now that you're happy with the language that has been put out there and that will inject a further boost of confidence to foreign businesses. What are some of the other reactions, some of the other sentiments that you've been able to get from your circle of foreign businesses or your circle of foreign friends that are monitoring the two sessions closely?
So I think first and foremost, for those of us that are in China, including foreign businesses, they understand the process, the communication. They're already sort of sold on what China's going to do next, and they feel comfortable with it, even though there's challenges ahead and they need to be addressed. But you're right. Outside of China, I mean, people don't understand China well enough. And events like this, the two sessions and the communication that I said earlier, is really, really important for the rest of the world to get a better understanding that despite the challenges they might have in their own country, China also has its challenges as well, and has its reasons to react the way that it does. I've seen some of the coverage and some of the responses from different ambassadors and different heads of state as well. They've all sent pretty much encouraging messages as well, recognizing what China's trying to do and want to be part and working with China. From the EU side, we're talking a lot today about AI. The EU adopted the first comprehensive AI law 2 years ago, and I saw this week that China wants to create a global institution on AI. I mean, things like this, when news like this comes out of the woodwork and becomes public, it creates an opportunity opportunity for countries then to work together. When you understand what the priorities of China are, then if you can match them with those of your own country, then perhaps at a political level you can do something, and you can do something positive for business and for the economy and for people at large. As Professor Xia was saying earlier, there's a lot of concern that AI might take away jobs and take away majors, and how is it going to work for everybody? Well, we need to do that. This is a global opportunity, as you've said first, but with the challenges, and we can't do them alone. We need to do them together. So again, I'm pleased that this has been put forward so prominently in the discussions this week, and it's now an opportunity for the rest of the world to react to it.
Well, for outsiders looking in, this might seem a very domestic political affair here in China, but the consensus reached at the two sessions, the decisions made here will no doubt have far-reaching implications around the world. Gentlemen, thank you so much.
As the global trade dynamics evolve, China is opening its vast domestic market wider to international partners, and officials say new initiatives to boost imports, tourism and foreign investment could create fresh opportunities for businesses worldwide, including exporters from Africa. CGTN's Enoch Sikolia reports from Beijing.
Home to 1.4 billion people, China is increasingly positioning its super large market as a platform for global economic cooperation.
But what does this mean for the world and for Africa in particular?
At a press conference during the two sessions, China's Minister of Commerce outlined 3 pillars behind this push: shop in China, export to China, and invest in China.
To shop in China, you first need to get here. And with the expanded visa-free policies, that is becoming easier than ever.
Specifically, in the narrow sense, shop in China refers to facilitating the movement of people and attracting more international tourists to spend, sightsee, and shop in China. Nowadays, foreign friends coming to China are not only visiting big cities like Beijing, Shanghai, and Guangzhou. More and more are exploring small and medium-sized cities. They're moving from sightseeing and shopping to immersive experiences.
During the recent Chinese New Year holiday, tax refund shopping by foreign tourists surged in several regions. Through the Export to China initiative, Beijing aims to help more international products reach Chinese consumers. More than 100 trade promotion events are planned this year.
This year, Export to China has invited the United Kingdom, Kazakhstan, Kenya, Thailand, and others as themed partners, strengthening coordination with tailored strategies for each. We welcome all countries to seize these new opportunities and make China the best export destination for more nations.
For African exporters, that opportunity could be significant. Kenya, for example, began exporting fresh avocados to China in 2022. Shipments surged from less than 500 tons to more than 4,300 tons in just 1 year. Starting this May, China will grant zero tariff treatment to imports from 53 African countries, further expanding access to this massive market.
Meanwhile, the Invest in China initiative welcomes foreign companies who see China as a gym, a place to build strength.
With our super large market and rich scenarios, China becomes a testing ground and application field for foreign enterprises' innovation and R&D.
Authorities say the 3 initiatives are organically connected, with greater synergy expected. While some countries wield markets as weapons, China says it is offering its market as an opportunity for all to share.
To shop, to export, or to invest, which one will you choose? In 2026, are you ready for China's super large market? Enoch Sikolia, CGTN, Beijing.
Now back to our guests. Well, Adam, from the official signals sent from the two sessions, China is very much willing to share its market with the world. Do you think this kind of message is persuasive to you?
I guess messaging is one thing, actual reality is another, right? So if we look at, again, the messaging that China wants to attract more foreign investment is positive. I think we've seen a language change this year that it's more focused on high quality, innovative investment, right? So understandably, China perhaps isn't interested in all of the investment areas that it was in the past. It's being much more specific. Then for companies that want to make that investment, they see the sign. Of course, there's a whole process, right? I mean, number one, is there a market? We talked about how challenging the market is right now. There's low consumption, there's involution. Like I said, companies have a medium, longer term, very positive still outlook for China. They continue to invest. But that messaging, has it resulted in a sudden surge in investment? No, not yet. I think companies are still very much on the sidelines, but as we saw from, I think it was Premier Li that was speaking there, China is a testing ground. It's a source of innovation. Companies understand that more and more. So companies want to continue to be here. They want to continue to invest here. But all of the things that we've been talking about this week about restructuring the economy and opening up, we need more details, right? And this 15th five-year plan that's going to be announced and promulgated today, hopefully, that's just the start, because then there's going to be all of the sectoral and the provincial five-year plans, and that's just the direction. You then have to have all the implementation that goes with it. And I think I can say, based on what I've seen from past five-year plans, China's got a pretty darn good track record of implementing and achieving most of the goals that it sets out to do, but it's not always the case. So it really does require, an all-out effort to make sure that those goals are achieved, and that where there are potential divergences or inconsistencies between self-security, for example, and openness and more foreign investment, that we give businesses and officials clarity on where we do want that investment and where, hey, this is a security agenda and perhaps it's best left to Chinese companies.
I think that's what the two sessions, especially CPPCC, is all about, to find out the problems, to, of course, to allocate all the major policies, but at the meantime to find the problems for proposals and see how can fix them, right?
Adam, before we move on to Professor Xia, just on a lighter note though, and on a related topic, China has put in visa-free policies for many EU countries, the majority of the EU countries, I should add. Has any of your friends, family, or colleagues since wanted to come to China, not necessarily to start a business, but maybe just to test the water, see the environment, and maybe the wonderful work that Adam Dunnett has been doing here in China?
So the answer is yes, and yes. The visa relaxation has been fantastic, and just yesterday I was speaking to a major multinational, and their plan is not to send expats here for longer term assignments, but to send people for shorter assignments of just 1 month, to send a senior executive just for 1 month to experience China and then let them to go back. And it makes a huge difference, because if you have to go to the embassy or the consulate to fill out all the forms and all that, it's a real hassle. So this is all great news, and yes, we're taking advantage of it, and companies and tourists are coming.
And the reason I'd ask that is that it could very much serve as a prelude for more business opportunities coming in here.
Well, the draft outline of China's 15th five-year plan for national economic and social development sets key targets from 2026 to 2030. And a primary goal is boosting the country's annual grain production capacity to approximately 725 million tons by the end of the plan period. And to achieve this year's government work report calls for advancing all-round rural revitalization. It emphasizes the work related to agriculture, rural areas, and the rural residents must remain the top priority. For 2026, this means a firm focus on grain production, balancing output and capacity, conservation and production, and expanding yields alongside income growth. It also calls for regular targeted assistance to consolidate poverty alleviation gains and prevent any large-scale return to poverty. It will continue to advance rural reform and development, and a key specific measure is conducting province-wide trials to extend rural land contracts by another 30 years, once the current second-round contracts expire.
Also on the topic of the well-being of the people and livelihoods, this year's 2 sessions have also highlighted development in youth employment, county-level healthcare, and residents' wealth.
This year, our country has placed the work of graduate employment in a more prominent position. We will strengthen efforts in employment mentorship and guidance, and formulate supportive policies for the employment of college graduates and other young people so that they can have more promising career prospects.
The most important thing is to build a strong foundation. Without enhanced capabilities at the primary healthcare level, the Healthy China initiative cannot be fully realized. And the key to strengthening this foundation lies in capacity building of county-level hospitals. Building on the steady progress in refining the medical consortium, we are advancing the tiered diagnosis and treatment system, truly benefiting the people.
How can we increase property income? We need to ensure that the wealth accumulated by residents is utilized effectively within the national economic cycle, allowing everyone to benefit from economic growth. To achieve this, the financial sector must enhance its efforts by offering more channels and financial instruments to support the utilization of residents' wealth.
Let's talk about job numbers, gentlemen. China aims to create more than 12 million new urban jobs this year. Professor Xia, a mighty task, given the headwinds faced by the Chinese economy this year. How do we do that? Where do the challenges lie? And what do you think is left with the policy tools that we can use for that to happen?
Yes, first I would like to talk about the number. Actually, the 12 million number kind of is consistent with last year. Actually, ever since China enters 21st century, China is facing this kind of the growth of a younger generation who graduate from college with master degree, with even doctoral degree, no matter where they got this kind of degree. And but the truth is that actually we really do not have that that enough jobs for those kind of doctors, particularly in major cities, urban centers. I know a lot of, let's say, doctors who graduate from universities in Beijing and Shanghai. They just have to go to the mid-sized cities, universities, and even hospitals and research hubs to do their job. They are willing to do this kind of a choice, but the other kind of obstacles is infrastructure and other supporting forces. So I think this target is good, and I think the target is pragmatic, and it can fulfill in the future 1 year later. But I think the major challenge is that whether the government, not only central government, but also local government, particularly like we just heard this video, the county level hospitals, county level healthcare centers, and the county level even the research institution can provide enough and adequate resources for them, not only for them to research, but also for them to grow themselves. They got family there, right? They got the kids there. They should grow their family. They should raise their kid, and they should have their career there. I think that would be more important in the future. Yeah.
Right. And recently, I actually read a story about a young Yi ethnic young man. He's an entrepreneur in Liangshan, in Sichuan province, a comparatively not very rich area, who returned home, employed local residents, and guaranteed dividends to households, and even plans live streaming culture to help villages to sell the products, which usually very hard to transport to the outside world, and to help them to sell all the fruits and products nationwide. Is that just an inspiring story, or exactly that's what the county level or the small cities need to do, but not just yet? Mr. Xia?
Yes, I think that story is inspiring. It can give people, graduates more opportunity, more choices, alternative. Tell them these kind of their roads to their growth or prosperity are more diverse. They shouldn't just stick to the traditional or conventional way. The story is inspiring, of course, but I don't believe everyone can repeat this kind of successful story.
Are there any policy support?
Yes.
To that kind of model?
Yes, and I think most important thing is that local government or other kind of related organizations can learn from the story why these people can be successful, right? And it's not only about himself or herself, it's also about this kind of environment. I think the soft power or the soft environment, the policy environment, and that will bring more, let's say, potential for graduates to go to the rural area and do their own choice, and it's kind of a win-win situation for both the region and themselves.
A topic about job creation and also talent nurturing. Adam, when the members you represent hire locally, what changes have they noticed in the talent that are available on the market, or maybe the gap between what they want and what is available here in China?
First of all, there's been huge localization over the last 10, 20 years of European companies here, because they've been able to develop and find talented individuals that grow within their company. But the gap that you talk about, the world's evolving very, very quickly, and there are still mismatches and needs. Obviously, starting with education, we need to make sure we've got the right educational basis for students. You were talking about certain programs being deleted or disappearing. I'm seeing new programs and new degrees in AI that are happening. I see new titles in job creations like AI, operational excellence, engineer in chief, and all that. The example that you gave of the individual who was selling their product online, e-commerce, for example, is one of the fastest growing sectors in China right now. And you can see people, everybody's online trying to sell something. There is a bit of a rat race to it, but these are all different parts of the new gig economy. And that's another new word that I saw this year in the government work report, is the government's going to support these gig economies. So it's a very challenging situation. I believe strongly in internships. The German sort of education system of trade and vocation schools has been very successful. And again, going back to the opening in areas for new openings that's in the 15th five-year plan, they talk about education again, right? So this is an area where we could have schools working with each other and us developing cooperation around the world.
Right, and population, although we have 1.4 billion already, but that is going to be a very big problem because we are entering an elderly society already. And there is actually a proposal this year around building a more childbirth-friendly society. But let's be honest, people do not actually decide to have children because of that advocations. They decide because it feels manageable, right? They can pay for that, they can afford that. Is that the real challenge here?
First of all, I'd like to say that according to my understanding, although I'm not an expert in this kind of study, I still follow the study, follow the research outcomes. People are agreeable that as animals, people, human beings are animals, right? As animals don't feel safe or don't feel, let's say, in the future they got prosperous, they would naturally choose to reduce their next generation's kind of capacity or the amount of the next generation and even next generation. So I think that is a natural thing. We are, let's say, actually my opinion is that we are oversizing its social influence in this sense. Well, actually, it's a natural thing. We are a natural species. We are kind of animals. I mean, we are kind of within this kind of environment, psychological circle. So we should follow this trend, and we should know the real reason. It is not about a personal choice. It is not about you grew up, you don't feel kind of filial apathy for your father. I don't think that would be the question. I think it's a more broader background we should consider.
Yeah. All right, thank you very much indeed for your insights, gentlemen. Mr. Xia Lu, Associate Professor from the School of Marxism Studies at Renmin University of China, and Adam Dungnet, Secretary General of the European Union Chamber of Commerce in China. Thank you very much again, gentlemen.
Thank you very much.
And that's it for our special coverage of the closing of the 4th session of the 14th National Committee of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference. And Chairman of the CPPCC National Committee, Wang Huning, delivered a speech.
And thank you so much to our guests, Xia Lu, Associate Professor from the School of Marxism Studies at Renmin University of China, and Adam Dennett, Secretary General of the European Union Chamber of Commerce here in China. I'm Zheng Shi in Beijing.
And I'm Li Dongning. Tune in for more updates and insights of the 2 sessions and more on CGTN.